Okay, here's the Euro US dollar trade that you can probably use in the S&P and the Dow and the NQ as well. I've had the most experience looking at it over the years on the Euro US dollar. That's why I mention it. But the FOMC just came out with their announcement. As you can see, here's the 2 o'clock price of the euro, 108. Excuse me, here is right before the announcement, so 107.86 we'll call it, and this is a 5-minute chart, and 106 or 108.64, so what is that, 70 80 points higher, or pips higher, and all in one direction. So if you were looking at a 20-minute chart, it would all be in one direction. Let's see if I can get to, there's 2 10-minutes right there for you. It's all in one direction, which is important. So you want it all in one direction for that first 20 minutes. And what tends to happen is the last 40 minutes tends to go in that same direction. We'll check back here at 3 o'clock. You can see it's 2:25 when I'm recording this. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go significantly higher, but it should close higher than this price here, which is 108.64. Ways to play it. If it came down to 108.60 in this case, you could be a buyer. I wouldn't necessarily do far out of the money. This was a fairly decent move. You could do the 108.48. So the market closed around 64. Was at 64 around 220. So the 48. So there's about 4 pips in the money. This is about 16 pips in the money. So depending on how you want to trade it, again, not necessarily large. We can take a look at the S&P as well. That is one that has gone up significantly. I don't think there's any tradable on Nadex for that, but 47.29 and a quarter is where it was at 220, and we'll check back in at 3 o'clock and see what happens. I'm actually going to be away from the desk at 3 o'clock, but I'll check back in after that. We'll take a look at where things were on that. In this particular case, for the S&P, you'd probably have to do, well, you can't even do a 4 o'clock. You'd have to do a 4:15. The problem with the 4:15 is then you have to exit it at 3 o'clock. So the pricing at Nadex will be wacky. And you can do this in the Forex market, or you could do this in the futures market as well. But this is just an interesting, doesn't trade a lot. It's not going to make you rich type of trade. And a lot of times what will happen is, you'll see a spike up and then a spike way down. You don't want to touch anything like that. You want it all in one direction. And that is pretty much textbook of what we have today. So we'll see where things flush out here in 30 some odd minutes, but that is the idea. Here's 3:15. Again, this is a 10-minute chart of the Euro US dollar. Again, the first 20 minutes, 10 minute. And then the idea is it's going to go higher if it's all in one direction. Could be all in one direction, so the downside as well, doesn't matter. You just don't want to see big giant wicks, right? So you wouldn't want to see it spike up here and then be back down here, type of thing. It doesn't have to close at the high of the 220, but you want to see a decent size move. So this was a decent size move. You don't want to see 20 pips either. You want to see a decent size move. And then the price here was around 64 and change, and at 3 o'clock, which is right here, closed at like 87 or so. So the contracts are expired now, but I think this has 64 contract and a 48 contract, and then I guess there would probably been a 72 contract you could have bought as well. S&P did the same type of situation. As far as the move, again, you could trade this in the futures as well, or in just regular Forex, but this is a 10-minute chart again, right around 47.29, and we closed at 47.54. So, it's 20 some odd point move on one mini. That's, over $1,000. So, not bad. But anyway, this is not going to happen every week. Obviously, there's 8 FOMC meetings a year, and then you don't get these type of moves every time. So you might see this 2-3 times in a year, but has a very good win rate. You can go back and look at the data. You can find all the FOMC meeting dates and look at the charts and so forth. But something to take a look at. So compare the 2 o'clock price with the 2:20 price. If we see a significant move, and it's pretty much all in one direction, the market tends to go in that same direction for the last 40 minutes of the hour. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care.